This channel is Eel Media. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Today we're going to share with you our lenses, why we bought them, where we got them, and also our cameras and camera bodies. Stay tuned. We're going to go chronological order, but before we do that, this is my wife Sam.
Hi guys.
You guys have seen some of her B-roll, and we hope you guys enjoyed that B-roll. Again, trying to get a little bit more technical, a little bit more creative with sounds, B-roll, shots, types of shots, whatever you call it. But today we're going to dive into not only our camera bag, but specifically into the lenses and bodies and cameras that we have. Today we're going to start with the 24mm by Canon.
So the 24mm is a pancake lens. It's got a really tiny lens. It is a wide angle, so the lower the number, the wider the angle it will be, the wider the shot it will be. So we got this lens as a gift when we got married. We've used it a great deal. It's nice because it's really compact and small. So if like Evan might use it when he climbs the Grand Teton, because if it breaks, not the end of the world.
Don't care about it too much.
I think it retails on Amazon for like 120, 140, somewhere like that. It does go down to 2.8, which is awesome because you can get that depth of field. And it's a great starter lens in addition to a 50mm or something like that.
Yeah, if you get the kit lens with whatever Canon camera you buy, you'll have the 11 to 55mm?
18 to 55.
18 to 55mm. This one is obviously a prime lens. I hate this lens, I'll just be 100% honest, but if you don't have a wide angle, which we will talk about later, this lens is phenomenal. Don't expect to get astrophotography out of it because, like Sam mentioned, the lens is extremely tiny.
It's only slightly bigger than a phone, like a new iPhone.
But a great addition to a beginner photographer's camera bag.
Especially if you're shooting for landscape. If you're like, I just want to do landscape, this is a great lens to get started.
Most of you guys who know about cameras or are familiar with the camera industry, especially with Canon, there was one lens called the Nifty 50 that Canon made. It's a plastic lens now, it didn't used to be, but it was kind of the stepping stone for Sam and her photography because it was the first lens that I purchased her when she had her Rebel T3i. That was it, T3i.
Just T3, actually.
Oh, just T3?
Yeah.
But
so Evan bought it for me right after we got engaged to be married. It was his first Christmas gift to me, which he gave me like a month early because he was so excited.
I got it for her, kind of got her back into photography and said, look, if you break it, we'll just buy you a new lens, we'll buy you a new camera. Don't be afraid to take your camera and go shoot. Buying
it on Amazon is awesome, but because you can get a ton of extra free stuff with it. You can spend about the same amount as you would on like Best Buy or Walmart or Target or whatever, but it came with some of the ND filters. It came with a bunch of stuff to clean it.
Yeah,
so
rags, whatever you call it.
It's basically the same price, so Amazon is an awesome option for that. They also have really competitive pricing, which is also awesome. So we wanted to talk about that just because it was a big part of our camera journey, but we just sold it to Collins, Evan's little brother, just a few weeks ago, and he's been blowing it up.
Like the Pancake Lens, or excuse me, the 24mm Pancake Lens, you don't have to worry about it if you break it because it is such a cheap lens that still gives you the value and power that a good lens will give you without the worry of damaging or losing that valuable lens. Now, I'm gonna dive into this lens, right in front of my face. This is the 85mm by Canon. This lens was Sam's, and it is Sam's baby. I would still call it her baby even though she has a more favorite lens. This lens really started it all. This lens is a prime lens as well, so it doesn't have different focal lengths, just 85mm. and we got it on Facebook Marketplace. For those of you who are looking for a new lens, whatever it be for Nikon, Canon, Sony, Facebook Marketplace is a huge tool and asset. I got this lens and my buddy said that there's be no way I find one on Facebook Marketplace. Went on one day randomly and got it for like $140 off retail price. The person who had used it did say that she had used it, but it was in great and is in great condition.
And I think it was in the box too.
Yeah, she still had she still had the package, and when she gave it to me, someone else offered her $10 more, but she was loyal enough to let me keep it for the price that I offered her.
I'm so glad she did.
That lens really boosted Sam's confidence and boosted her ability as a photographer. This lens, the 85mm, is not their nicest 85mm, but it is hands down the best bang for your buck. I think we got it for $260, and it is a powerhouse of a portrait lens, and really does the job when taking pictures of people.
So the 24 is wide, 50 is kind of mid-range, 85 is going to be a lot. You have to stand a lot farther away in order to get the same type of shot. If that makes sense. 24 you can stand a lot closer. It's got a fair amount of glass in there. It's a hefty lens, but it is my baby. I love it.
Now we have our wide angle. This is the Tokina 11 to 20mm wide angle lens. We did extensive research before buying a wide angle lens. Why did we buy a wide angle lens, Sam?
Astrophotography, straight up.
Boom. We bought it for astrophotography. Unlike the Pancake Lens, like we showed you, this has glass in it. The Pancake Lens did not work. So
everything was blurry.
If you want if you want an astro lens, look for your f-stop to be low. This is a 2.8 f-stop, and it's 11 to 20. So it gives you a wide view of everything you're looking at. We really were surprised that not only is this not some fancy schmancy Sigma or Canon L series lens, this does phenomenal. We'll post a picture right now of one of our best astrophotography shots that we got in King Hill, Idaho. But this lens we actually got from a local store in Perfect Light in Idaho Falls. They're a local store, your nearest camera store when you are heading towards Yellowstone or Grand Teton.
The one thing with this one is there is some chromatic aberration at the wide.
I hate chromatic aberration.
So honestly, if it was just 20mm, I would just use that, because I rarely ever shoot. Sometimes if I want to get a little bit more in there, I'll shoot as low as like 14. But because the 11 really struggles with the chromatic aberration, I don't use it. But I don't really feel like I need to be shooting at 11mm. 20 is just fine. 20 is plenty wide.
Yeah. 11 it starts to distort at about 11. Anything wider than, I would say, 15mm, which is hard to even get anyway, you're going to start seeing some distortion on the perimeter of your photo. Yeah,
it just messes with the light a little bit, and this lens in particular doesn't do great when you're shooting into direct light. But it was a great deal. We got it for $450. Tokina was having a sale.
150 off or 100 off? Some amount of money off.
I can't remember. But I wish we would have bought this lens earlier than we did. Someday we're going to go back to Great Basin National Park and we will take amazing shots of the Milky Way with this lens, or even a better lens at that point, depending on what time we end up getting to go back.
The lenses that we purchased, obviously you've heard us buy off of Amazon. We bought off Facebook Marketplace, and we've bought from a local retailer. We like to support local businesses, but when it comes to camera gear, sometimes you just have to go with what's cheapest, because camera gear is not cheap. Now, there's a lens here that we don't have on the table. It's on the Canon 60 Mark II. We want to tell you guys that we are 100 gajillion% on board with the Sigma Art Series lenses. We are huge fans of prime lenses. That being said, we love having the ability to zoom with our 11 to 20 or a 70 to 200, which we'll get to in a minute. But our 35mm Sigma Art Series lens is hands down our favorite and most used lens because of its versatility. We not only can do portrait shots with it, we can get up close, similar to what macro shots could be, but also get absolutely tack sharp wide angle shots.
The tack, other than the 85, we don't have any other lens that can get as sharp photos as that one. And it is so versatile. It goes down to 1.4, so it can open super wide open. We shot the stars with this one. It wasn't as wide. We were shooting at Horseshoe Bend on the border of Arizona and Utah, and because it wasn't wide enough for the shot, we only got bits and pieces of it, but the shots we got of the stars when we just shot it straight up into the sky were amazing. So it still gets incredible shots. It just doesn't shoot as wide as this lens, but we've used it for pretty much everything. We've used it for a lot of our vlogs or videos or whatever, so we've loved it. It's a Sigma and it's the bomb.
Sigma has definitely taken our heart. Now you will pay for a Sigma Art Series lens. You pay a hefty penny for it. Our next lens that we want to get, we'll tell you at the end. But
we bought this one at the photography store in Salt Lake City. I cannot remember what the name is.
It is hands down the biggest photography store we've ever been into, and the people there, if you find yourself in Salt Lake City and are looking for a photography store, just look up a photography store in Salt Lake and I guarantee it'll take you there. The customer service there is phenomenal. We came in as amateurs and we left as experts because they convinced us to buy this lens. And I was pretty much
we shot it on this camera. He let us take the tester out. Evan took some pictures of me and we bought it right then and there. It was $950.
Yeah, no, it was on sale. Remember, it was $650 because it was $150 off of $800.
Oh right, this one's $800. That's 20 millimeter. Okay.
Quick tip: always wait or look for deals when it comes to the lenses. Certain lenses, the 35 millimeter Sigma Art Series always goes on sale, and the lens that we want, that we'll tell you at the end, does not ever go on sale. But now we're going to bring you guys back to Perfect Light in Idaho Falls, the store that we had originally purchased our Tokina from, and talk about our 70 to 200 millimeter Series 1 or Series 2.
Series 1.
L-series lens. This sucker is the Canon, literally the Canon and the Canon, because it is ginormous and weighs probably 4 to 5 pounds. We got this lens on consignment, so I literally think every lens that we've gotten from a different outlet.
I was actually thinking that when we were
gift,
going through
Facebook Marketplace, local retailer.
Consigned local retailer.
And consigned local retailer. We got this lens, which is worth about $1,100 for $900. We were able to negotiate with the seller and got this lens at a great deal. Now, that being said, this lens does not work at the capacity that our camera can work at. That being said, we're not good enough to realize what we're missing out on. This lens blew us away at how tack sharp it is at all focal lengths. Now, that being said, it weighs so much, so you really need to understand or know what you're going to shoot before taking this lens. But I would say, like most photographers would, you should have a 70 to 200 millimeter in your camera bag, along with whatever wide angle and whatever prime lens, because it makes you more versatile as a photographer and gives you the opportunity to get those zoomed in shots or those relatively wide angle when it comes to shooting with the 70 to 200.
I've used it for photo shoots. I've used basically this one and the 30 millimeter in terms of people shooting.
Now we're going to talk about, which we kind of have talked about before, I believe, on this channel, the T7i. This was our step up from the T3 like we talked about in the beginning. This camera gives us the ability to do video. It is a crop sensor, but again, we are good enough to realize what a crop sensor does, but we don't see it hindering us in any way. It actually kind of gives us the ability to use a different zoom based off of how many lenses we have. The focal length changes on the crop sensor, but it has the flip out camera. I don't think we'll ever get rid of it unless we really want to upgrade. We have the GoPro Hero 7 Black. Again, done a whole video on this and why an action camera is necessary. We're shooting on the 60 Mark II. In that B-roll you saw earlier, you can definitely see why we're using that one to film everything, because one, it has the processing power. It can shoot in 60 frames, or 100, excuse me.
60.
It can shoot in 60 frames per second.
Same with this one though too.
And the T7i can as well. We use the mini Rode mic on top of the 60 Mark II to gather the voice that we need. And then I have my most recent purchase, which is this Pentax K1000 film camera. I just developed some film, so I'm going to post that at the end of this video. Stay tuned. But now we're going to tell you what our next lens that we want is. We want the 20 millimeter Sigma Art Series f1.4. So the Tokina will then be rendered useless. In reality, but we would probably still keep it because this lens will be worth substantially less than the Sigma 20mm Art Series f1.4. Now, that being said, when it comes to your camera bag or your gear, don't ever feel ashamed or sad at what you have. We just worked our way up. Once you get a lens, use that lens until you realize that you can step up and you have saved up enough, or you've had enough clients to where you can spend that amount of money and invest in yourself, or even if it's just a hobby, never feel like you don't have enough, because even the kit lenses lasted us a substantially long time before we realized, okay, let's step it up and buy a prime lens that's specifically built for this, that, or that.
We ended up consigning our kit lenses because we felt like we weren't using them anymore. They were taking up space in the one camera bag we had, and we used that. We got like 70 or 80 bucks out of each of them, and we ended up using that to help us get some of these lenses here. So I wouldn't say consign them right away if they're all you've got, but recognize that those f-stops that the kit lenses have cannot get you what the f-stops in these lenses can get you in terms of bokeh and astrophotography and a lot of other things. The lenses here are just higher quality, but using those kit lenses to your advantage in learning what you want to do, that way you don't have to buy every single one of these. We do a lot of things. We're jacks of all trades in terms of photography and video, so we have all of them. But if we just shot landscape, then it wouldn't make any sense for us to have this one, these two, or...
Yeah, that's pretty much these two, and yeah. Guys, don't judge yourself based off of the gear you have. The photographer lies with inside. You can take great photos with what you have, even if you have, I mean, this is a student film camera. I got it for 140 bucks at a film store, and it takes great photos. I don't think I'm going to dive too hard, but it does the job. It tells the story. Photos should tell or convey a story that you want to share. It can be in black and white. It can be on the Pancake Lens, the 7200. It doesn't matter what you have. It matters what you're doing with it. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot me a message in the comments. I check the comments. Give this a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. All right, we gotta see how long that was because it felt forever.
22 minutes.